Good evening and welcome to the Drive at 5 on the IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station. I'm your host, Roman. We have a great show planned for you today. Please stay tuned to the Drive at 5 for Warriors Talk at 6 p.m. with Rochelle. I have to do a side note because I've been knowing this lady for this woman right here. Wow. And if I'm a little bit nervous, excuse me,
No reason
because
to be nervous. Yes.
tonight my guest is a broadcaster. I'm going to say broadcaster Hall of Famer,
Well, thank you.
consultant, president of the MSD Enterprises Inc., an actress, and the spokesperson for the African Festival. Please give a Drive at 5 welcome for the first time, the one and only Devora Crable. Welcome to the Drive.
Well, thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you, Roman. It is true. We've known each other for many, 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 many years. So we have walked this broadcasting walk for a very long time. And I'm so glad to see that you're in the mainstream now and doing extraordinarily well. So congratulations on your efforts here with Intellectual Radio. We're proud of you.
I'm glad I got that on tape. So please give intellectualradio.com
Yes.
slash iHeart radio station your background.
Where do you want to begin? Interestingly enough, I was honored just a few weeks ago with the Banbury Big Ten Black Alumni Award. And it's an organization that honors those individuals, African Americans, who went to the predominantly white institutions, the Big Ten. And so it forced me to take a look at my own career. Oftentimes, when you're in the position that I am, where I'm always am telling someone else's story, you don't pay attention to your own story. And so in that moment, it was like, well, what was it like when you're at the University of Maryland? When you talk about the path that you have come through, and when you think about a predominantly white institution, my first thought had nothing to do with the white people on campus. My memory was solid black.
Solid black. Wow.
At the University of Maryland, it was a city within a city in College Park, Maryland. Our community, the African American community, was so close knit, and we had our own cultural bond that existed there on campus that my memory was nothing but about those experiences. And I can remember distinctly, having to have people to invite me with intention to get engaged with other communities on campus, because that's just how close knit we were. And one of those was with Omicron Delta Kappa, which is an honorary society on campus. And I remember some of the teachings and learnings there that were in direct contrast from what I got in the real world of broadcasting. So they might tell you, make sure that when you go out and get that first job, that you are purposeful and that you are making a contribution. But my first job in radio was with Kathy Liggins Hughes, Radio One.
Wow.
And her message was
Mhm.
never be the weakest link. Now, culturally, we understand that, right? So you can imagine just the optics around that versus being a contribution, the weight of saying, don't be the weakest link. Of course, that's a reference back to the slave chain. So if
Mhm.
one person fell, everybody fell. And if you were weak in that movement, when you made that call to get away, you ran the risk of putting everyone at peril. So those kinds of things that you kind of reflect on. But I was very fortunate, to answer your question directly, to have walked the walk with the titans in broadcasting, the Black Titans of broadcasting.
Can you name some of them?
Some of them Kathy Liggins Hughes was the first stop. And from there, I went to Johnson Publishing Company and had the privilege of working with the most influential Black man in America, John H. Johnson, with the Johnson Publishing Empire, hosting his TV show, The Ebony Jet Showcase. From there, I went to work with, here in Chicago, Melody Span. And so one thing that we learned with John H. Johnson, the power of story to transform thinking, community, ways of being. His mission was to change the way that America perceived Black people by changing the narrative, the typical common narrative that was brought commonplace through the media, by telling the positive stories of who we are, sharing that our values are the same as everyone else's values, our desires, our wants, our needs, and concerns, so that we had parity in the space of being an American citizen. From Melody Span, the power of this microphone on WVON, the nation's voice for Black people, the voice of the nation, went to the voice of Black America to the voice of the nation, and to see how you could use this tool to activate and motivate masses into action. The most I guess, prominent example would be the Million Man March, and how we behind the radio microphone mobilized millions and millions of men to march in Washington. And I had the privilege of winning an award from the National Black Journalists Association for the coverage, the callback coverage from that event. And so just knowing that the chair that you sit in and the microphone that you command such a high honor and a privilege. And to know that your audiences are trusting you to be the custodian of their interest, of their intellect, if you will, intellectual radio, and you're doing a magnificent job. So, in broad sweeps, there you go. A lot of stops in between, as you all know, with film with Gerald Roberts and his film "How You Like Me Now." A lot of stage work with Sharon McGee, one of my colleagues at WVON, and we went all over the country doing her pocketbook monologues, and had a lot of fun doing that. And then did a little stop at seminary at the McCormick Theological Seminary here in Chicago. So, well rounded, going all the way around, and the journey is still moving forward. And now we're with the African Festival of the Arts.
And let's get to that. So tell us how the festival, African festival, evolved since the pandemic.
Um, wow. So, we took a couple of years off because of the pandemic. And so the last one was in 2018, 19. And so we've been off for almost 3 years now. And maybe it was 2019. We're 22 now. I lose track
Mm.
of the years.
Right, right.
But at any rate, we've been off for 2 years. So this is a big comeback festival. And so we'll be back in Washington Park Labor Day weekend with our hour, and let's put emphasis on our festival, end of summer festival. It's been a tradition now for over 33 years. Can you imagine that? And so we will be back with all the fun and activities and entertainment and cultural embracing, if you will, that happens in the cultural celebrations that happen during that 4-day period in Washington Park.
So, give us the history of the African festival and how it came about. The reason why is a lot of people, you mentioned 33 years,
Hmm.
which is a lot of years. A lot of people don't even know that.
I know, but 33 years, it goes by so quickly. And with a bat of an eye, the time just flies by. You think about the past 3 years that we've been caught up in this pandemic. It's been, you batted your eye, and we've been through it. Who would imagine, what have you accomplished in those 3 years? But they went by very, very quickly. But um, the festival evolved out of Window to Africa. It is the vision of Patrick Woodrow, who is Liberian native, who came here to pursue his education. And one of the things that he became very present to is that Black people that were coming from Africa needed to have a cultural center, a point of connection, a window, if you will, to pass through to get their moorings in the new land, in their new home. And also providing an opportunity for their kindred brothers and sisters to have an opportunity to engage in conversation and create community around that. So you have the African community and the existing African American communities coming together in a very profound way. And through those experiences, the celebration of the culture, the artifacts, the jewelry, the garments, and all of that, and the music became something that they really wanted to celebrate in a grand, significant way. So they started in a very small manner right there in Harper Court. You might remember that years ago. Maybe some of you might remember that because it was a very intimate setting, and you could find people on any given day out playing chess in the park. It was multi generational. It was a commuters, a pedestrian walkway. Just a wonderful time. I'm sorry that we don't have that now.
Do you think we have gotten away with that? I mean, that little sense of like, um, what's that? The chess, like you can
Well, I think
freely.
that, yeah, I think that we have, and I think that tragically we have. I think that when you have communities that encourage intergenerational communication and connection in a very um, passive yet engaging way. Passive meaning it's not like, okay, we're going to do this. It's just a natural way of being. It was just a natural way of being to pass through the park, and everyone would just sit there with the chessboards and start playing chess. Now they're doing it in front of McDonald's. But then it was underneath those wonderful trees in the park. You could go to your favorite little restaurant, get a cup of coffee, or go to the black owned restaurant that was right above that park area. And I don't remember it was I can't, what was the name of that restaurant? There were two of them owned by the same gentleman. One had Louisiana type fare, and the other was Southern cuisine. And those were the places to go. So all that has changed now, and it's more congested. It's more busy. It doesn't have that pedestrian friendly neighborhood. Let me walk through the park kind of a feel anymore. But then again, that comes with transition. It comes with evolution. It comes with change.
And which reminds me, the Bud Billiken.
Yeah, ton of fun last weekend. Boy, we were out there. Yay! It was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
the Bud
Hmm.
Billiken, and I talked to a lot of people. It's like you're giving me that look already.
Hmm.
A lot of people were kind of disappointed. Like it was, they wanted more people to be out
Well,
there.
you know what?
They
Let's not be too critical,
okay.
okay? Because we are emerging out of a pandemic, and we
Mhm.
still have a lot of health threats that are out there that are discouraging people from gathering in large numbers, and it's especially closely. So we have to be very mindful and cautious about that. So no, but this is an institution that has been going on now for what, over 90 years. And so hopefully it'll be continuing on for 100 more that we can get to that benchmark year. The important thing is that we are celebrating tradition. We are celebrating those values that are important to us as a community: education, family. These are staples that make our community strong. Similarly, that's what we are celebrating this year at the African Festival of the Arts. We're going back to culture, back to tradition, because there's certain cultural nuances and things that we all fell back on during this pandemic. We all went back to grandma, mama's remedies to figure out what it is that we needed to do to keep ourselves healthy and whole. We all got real present to the fact that we need to be communicating on a regular basis with those people that we love and that are near and dear to us. Why? We saw loved ones who were alive on Monday in good health to be dead by the end of the week. So I think we understand clearly the fragility of life and how precious it is for us to remain connected and have substantive relationships with the people that we love, and how important it is as a community to stay together and keep those bonds strong as well.
The African Festival is an institution in Chicago. A lot of people are having this discussion about maintaining and preserving our culture and history in Chicago. How can you maintain and preserve the history of the African Festival?
Well, let's keep it very, very clear. It's up to people to make the festival stay alive and relevant.
Can you elaborate on that?
The festival is always about people. That's one of the things as a marketing director this time around, because I've done it a few times,
Hmm.
and a lot of times we'll focus on the activities and the talent that will might be there, and what are all the things that we need to do. This year, my focus is solely on the people. Who is going to be there? Who is showing up? So the Pomone Ramis of the world. Sasha Dalton will be there sharing her book. The vendors are coming in with a different kind of a conversation. When we look at the vendors market, and you'll meet a few of them here today, we really get a strong sense of how entrepreneurship is really part of our DNA. When you walk through that marketplace, it's not just about buying something unique and different and something that comes from Africa or has that kind of nuance to it. But you really get the sense in that in that activity and the engagement of being able to barter for those goods, because you can't do that in the marketplace, of how real it is when you see the brothers on the street, and they call it, even in the big time magazines, economic magazines that track the economic trends, that we have our hustle, we have our side hustle. We might have our main gig, but for most Black folks, you're going to have another side hustle. That's just who we are. It's part of our DNA. And when you come to the African Festival of the Arts, you are able to see that full throttle. It makes sense. You're able to connect that cultural dot. So when we have the African Festival of the Arts, we're able to see just not only our African American culture. And when we say Africa, we're talking about Africa of the diaspora. So the points where Africans went from Africa down to the Caribbean, even out through Europe, through the far reaches of the world. So we're able to see the largesse of who we are as a people globally in a micro context at the African Festival of the Arts. So that's why you want to come. So it's not just about, hanging out for the weekend, but in a more deeper, a richer way, we're able to really celebrate our culture. We have global representation of our music, from jazz to reggae, to blues, to gospel, to Afro pop, to indigenous music, African music. You have the African drums going on in the drum village all weekend long. So you're able to see how all of that defines who we are as a global Black community.
So, I mean, some people would say it's hard to incorporate all the cultures in one. How African American, I mean, African Festival, um, get a chance to do that every single year, to incorporate all cultures. You're talking about, like you just said,
Hmm.
the gospel community, the R&B community, the house community, every community that defines the African American experience, or the Africa diaspora experience as well.
I understand. I appreciate that. So, what we want to recognize and to celebrate is the diversity, even in the midst of our sameness. And I was with intention. I have called this a celebration of Black global culture, with no S. Appreciating that there are subsets of cultures that represent to me the broader all Black culture. So to me, that's a way of us being able to show how we are all connected through our Blackness as a Black culture. But you might come from Ethiopia, you might be from Puerto Rico, you might be from the Caribbean, you could be from any point of the world, but all of it goes back to Africa in terms of its origin and its genesis. And this is what we want people to understand, the profundity of that. Coming from our founder, Patrick Woodtor, he'll be the first to tell you that all people of the world, Black, white, brown, whatever color, all of us have ancestral roots in Africa. So if we get clear about that, we're very clear about how that global community, our Black global community, embraces all people.
Tell us about the vendors. What type of vendors people should expect at the festival? What if I go in there right now, what should I expect?
You can expect. Actually, I'm going to let our gentlemen who are here to share in depth with you their experiences. But
Okay.
you will find things that are made from American designers here in America, that are influenced by Africa. Our artist of the year this year is Anu Diallo, and her image is the Agungun, which I can show you here on our plugger here, and the Agungun is the spiritual. The Agungun represents all of our ancestors. And when we bring forward the Agungun, we're bringing forth the majesty of all the ancestors that came before us. And we have to honor them. We talk about going back to tradition. I think that when we don't honor and venerate our elders, as we do through the festival every year, we have a grand yay and a grand baba. This year, we're so fortunate to have
What
the
is a grand yeye and a
the
grand
Grand
baba?
Yeye and the Grand Baba. They are the father and the mother of the festival. So they pretty much, it's an honorary role where they just have oversight, if you will, over the festival.
And who are they?
We have the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, leader of the Nation of Islam, who was our Grand Baba this year. And we have the Honorable Senator Matty Hunter of the 3rd Congressional Senate District here in Illinois, and the head of the Minority Caucus as well. So we are just really, really proud to have the two of them to join us. And they'll be celebrated and feted at our gala on August the 27th at the Logan Center.
So we got the vendors and stuff.
So yeah, going back to the vendors, you want to know about what you can find everything from, like this piece that I'm wearing here today, is from Mali, okay, and then we have the bracelets and things that all come from West Africa. I get one of these every year for all my girls. I always find something that I can get all of my crew
Does it
and I
have
share
a
with them.
specific meaning?
No, but it's comfortable. It's got leather on the inside. It's all handcrafted and made in West Africa.
Sure.
And so there you go. Ha, ha, ha. But you can find garments. You can find beadwork. I mean, elaborate beadwork. You can find artifacts that date back hundreds of years, the wood carvings, the masks that you can find. And I'm going to allow the experts to tell you more about that when they come in and speak with you. So you can find whatever it is that you're. Watch this.
Are you in awe at how detailed the handmade jewelry?
Yes.
Yeah.
Understand the craftsmanship, the artistry of a lot of this work. And you're going to see that from the gentleman who's bringing in the jewelry that he'll share with you later. But the craftsmanship and the attention to detail. And might I also add, there at the festival every year, we have a family of silversmiths that are there that will make your jewelry on site during that weekend. You pick out the stones, the style, and they'll make it for you right there.
Wow.
And so it's really, really magnificent. So you get to see the artist in action. We have a fine art pavilion where we feature the artworks of emerging and established Black artists, not only from America, but from around the world. You will find Frank Frazier there on any given day. And he is one of our grand babas of art, if you will. And his signature pieces, of course, are the necktie works that he creates. Woodrow Nash is also another one of our festival favorite artists, and he does those magnificent sculptures, those body busts of heads and they're painted just so exquisitely. And some of them are like 6 feet tall. They take on the form of a whole body. He'll do elaborate beadwork with them, and it's just amazing. But so the kinds of artists that you will find there are of that caliber. And we have artists coming in from Tanzania this year. We've had artists from South Africa, from all around the world. And so it's an opportunity for art collectors to come and really get some top line art from in demand artists that are already established. And you can get great prices because they're giving you the family rate because you're there at the festival. And of course, you're able to meet and greet some of the more emerging and newer artists that are coming up as well.
What is the biggest highlight that you're looking forward to as the spokesperson? I know you can't discriminate, but I just have to put you on the spot.
Well, you know what? It's the total experience. From the time, and I think that you'll find most people will probably share the same sentiment. The minute that you walk onto that gated community, when you see it, 51st and Cottage Grove, coming up that week prior, like on the 25th of August, whenever those tents start going up, you will feel that transformation happening in that whole area.
Well, it started
So
already, right?
it already has started, and you
Mhm.
can you see that village emerge because when you walk into that gate, we replicate an African village, and it's all completely gated and safe. You have the food court, which is walking along the banks of the Nile, and you can have samples of all kinds of African influenced foods. Your choice, your pick. I mean, you'll
Give
be
us a sample of the
well,
foods.
you get the jollof rice, you'll get the different kinds of what that spinach that I like. Why am I not? I need my friends in here to tell me all. Because I can't I lose the names, but they have all kinds of rice dishes and greens and the things and plantains. You can go down to the Caribbean. Of course, you get the jerk chicken and all that as well. So it's kind of a global thing. You'll get some of that Louisiana etouffee and what have you going on there. So and even some Belizean foods, you'll find that there as well. So you get there's something for everyone. If I can borrow a term from my Trinidadian brothers and sisters, it's a tout beguy experience. Something is there for everyone, including the toddlers with our children's pavilion. They have all kinds of activities all day long that they're able to engage. They can paint, they're encouraged to write. We have storytelling. We have Michael Jackson impersonators that will be there. We have two stages of entertainment. One is right there in that children's pavilion area. So we have all kinds of entertainment that will be family friendly for the entire family. So, as I said, there's something there for everyone. And the driving force behind everything this year is to really get a close examination of our spirituality and the things that bring us together as a community under the rubric of the Kenyan term Harambe, all all pulled together. And so that's the spirit of which we want people to come to the festival with, all pulled together. There's greater power in the strength of community than there is in the individual. So when we see that happening there at the festival and you experience that, you carry that with you for the rest of the year. So that's the magic that you'll experience at that festival that I think is the thing that I look forward to the most.
Let's talk about the music.
The music. Listen,
you,
this is one year I'm gonna be camped out in a pup tent. I'm not leaving the grounds, but go ahead.
you have SWV.
SWV, yeah.
You have Teresa Griffin, a friend of the Drive at Five, and
The Empress
intellectual.
of Soul for it, right here, our own.
And you have I forgot her name. The
Erica
gospel,
Campbell.
yeah, Erica
Mm-hmm.
Campbell. So you have something for everyone. So l- tell everybody about the musical
Well,
acts
the
that we.
thing that we take great pride in, and I have to give credit to our board member, Sheila O, another great radio personality here in Chicago. She just did an absolutely extraordinary job of really giving us that full arc of the Black music experience and articulation. So we have everything from Black poets with Jeff. Name's just like, let me pull up this so I'm not
No,
calling
no
names wrong.
problem. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But of course, I don't have my glasses, so I can't even read it. But anyway, but we have the main acts as you were sharing. We have Teresa Griffin, we have P Square and Rima, Afro pop artists coming in from Nigeria. Okay. And we have Shai Tulani, who is from Kenya, and he spent a lot of time here in Chicago. But his feel is more of a reggae Caribbean type of a thing. So we have that going. And of course, we have Ken Bedford with his stepper set on Friday evening, an all-time favorite with our festival fans. So he'll be back this year as well. And as we have already mentioned, we have Erica Campbell and SWV, and we close it out with Jonathan Butler out of
Oh
South Africa.
wow.
So
Is
that's
that
going to
just
be
added, Jonathan
no,
Butler?
he's been there. And but we really are excited about having him there. And Sunday's going to be extraordinary with another one of our great board members, Pam Morris Walton, who will be on that stage and really raising up praise. And we have a Ghanaian minister that will be there offering a very special word for our festival goers. And we have the Chicago Mass Choir, and we have the Victory Travelers. Yeah, and so it'll be a full flight of individuals that will be there all weekend long. You don't want to miss any of it. You don't want to miss any of it.
So, is it still time to
Hmm.
get tickets or become a vendor? Who should they contact?
So if you want to become a vendor, yes, there is still time, but you need to do it this week. You need to do it right now this week because we got to go and order those tents. We have to bring them in. We have to set up that African village, and we want to make sure we have a space reserved for you. But we can't do it at the last minute. So if you go to www AIHUSA.org. You'll find everything that you need right there in terms of that vendor's form. And that AIH stands for Africa International House, USA.org. And that is the producing entity of the African Festival of the Arts. The festival is a flagship program of Africa International House USA.
And if people want to get tickets, it's the same way.
You can go to African International House, USA.org, or you can also go to AfricanFestivalChicago.com. It'll take you to the same place, and you can get your tickets there. You need to get your tickets early because they're only $20, $30 in advance, $30 in advance, $40 at the gate, $20 for seniors. We have VIP passes available too that grant you special access to our hospitality suite and other benefits. So
What they expect at the hospitality suite?
you get specialty spirits, shall we say? And you'll have wonderful food, great company, and some wonderful seating to observe the entertainment every evening under the stars of Chicago.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
So Intellectual Radio,
Yes.
for the very first time, will do a live broadcast on Saturday.
Yay!
Earl is so excited, he's giddy. See, he has a smile on
is
his
he,
face.
is he giddy over there?
Yeah. he can't wait to speak to the people and
Yes.
interact and stuff like that. So you're gonna help us out on Saturday.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to having you there. And so I really appreciate and value all of our podcasters. And so I have a select group of you that will be getting my special stamp of being the official podcasters for the African Festival of the Arts 2022.
All right. So how people can get in contact with you?
Again, you can go to Africa International House USA.org, and that would be the acronym AIHUSA.org. Or you can go to AfricanFestivalChicago.com.
All right.
Yes.
Don't be a stranger to the Drive at
I
5.
won't, but thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah.
We're gonna
It's been a pleasure.
Oh man,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just
yeah.
don't know. When you come back in September,
I'll see you in September.
we're gonna talk about your career and the stuff that you have done for Chicago broadcasters
Would love
and
to.
for Black women in broadcasting industry. So it's always a pleasure to have
Always.
you. When we come back on the Drive at 5, we will have the vendors of the African Festival coming up on intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station. And we're back on the Drive at 5 on the intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station. African Festival is just 2 weeks away, and we just have a preview of some of the vendors that will be at the festival. So, gentlemen, please step up to the mic. Come on, step up to the mic. Don't be scared. Um, introduce yourself.
Okay,
Yeah,
Muhammad, go first.
go.
Okay, I'm Mohammed Ag Hamzata. I'm artist. I do the jewelry and some stuff with leather. Also, I came especially for that festival from Mali.
Oh, wow. Glad to have you. You, sir?
My name is Jara Jabi. I live here for over 30 years. I do the festival for more than the 25 years.
Okay.
Yes.
So give us a background
Mhm.
of some of the stuff that you guys have done. So I start with you, sir.
Okay. My background here, I work with a lot of different organizations to bring African culture life in the United States here. Um, I was traveling all over the Africa to bring African art and African culture, textile, clothing, and jewelry. And I also I work with a lot of African American museum and to bring all history and they be left to disconnect African people living in the outside Africa, and I do that in different museum.
You, sir?
Okay, my background, I learned this stuff with my grandparent, who's from north of Mali, from the part of Kidal and Timbuktu. Then we working together, men and women, to learn our culture, handmade jewelries and some leather boxes, jewelries. Then I do that more than 15 years. I do some different exhibition.
So you
Mhm.
have been in Chicago
Yes.
for the past how many years? Again?
Past 25 years
20
now.
25 years.
Yes.
So within that 25 years, you worked with museums. Can you elaborate a little bit on the museums, like Dusabo museums?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do think with the Disaba Museum, even now, the exhibition they have in Disaba Museum, uh, Disaba to Obama, they have the exhibition and the downstairs. When you go in there, you will see some item I find come from our ancestor, bring into the thing into that museum in Philadelphia, Holocaust Museum, Philadelphia. I work with them too. In Savannah, Georgia, and they have a plantation museum in Savannah, Georgia, and I work with them. And also another museum in Arkansas. Every year I go there and to do this celebration for the farm and the plantation celebration. I do that every year except these 2 years in the pandemic, and I don't able to uh, go on there. But every time I go stop onto my ancestor who come before me and this country to make this country be valuable to me, and I will push all African come here and I'm going to travel and make this country available to be a new immigrant African. And I push here for that each year. I used to go to stop onto the fee place they go like in Mississippi, Georgia, Arkansas, all that. Yeah, that is my thing, and I have African American family too because of my father say if you love somebody, you want to be connected with somebody, you marry them, you have children with them, and you have connection. So what I do. I have marry African American, and I have four boy with those sister, and there's a four boy want to the Africa learn the culture, and they here now going to the college. and I have three boys in the college and the one in the high school.
Okay.
Yes.
So you, sir, tell us a little bit about your culture and why you want to, you know, um, when you started the African festival. So can you tell us about that? Because your journey is a long journey.
Yeah, my journey is a long journey. My culture, I'm Tuareg. I born in the desert, north of Mali. Then this all the work, the jewelry I make has a signification about my culture. Even the design, when you can see all the design with this jewelry has a signification about different part of the desert. Not only the design to make them like that, all that design have a signification about different part of the desert, from the north of Mali, even the West African also.
So when you say the desert, a
Mm.
lot of people can imagine like people making jewelry and stuff like that in the desert or something like that. So what inspired you to make jewelry, handmade jewelry?
Yeah, we just make that handmade jewelry because of we don't need to lose our culture. This jewelry is talking about our culture. Even you see the design who make for that the jewelry, that design talk about the culture from the desert. He talk about different path, different oases, different well, who to find water in the desert. It's very hard to get water in the desert. Then all this design talk about that. I'm here just to represent my culture, to talk about many men who don't know about that culture, the Tuareg culture, who's not only in Mali, is the desert is bigger, even in South Algeria to Mali to Niger. You will find the nomad people, the Tuareg, in all this part of the desert.
So each jewelry tells a story. And what the most important jewelry that tells about your culture and your history that people need to understand?
Yeah, we have a different example. I want to show you
Sure.
example that one. This has
Can you hold
mine.
it up? So,
This has mine. This you have them 21 different. This you call them the passport of the Tuareg. Any tribe, like 21 tribe of the desert. Even I see someone wearing this, I will know he's come from that part of the desert. Then all this design between, you can get the same like that with different also design. All this design has his mind. Example here for that one. Here we have three part. This is the three campment. Then this street have a signification about the way. The small point, we can see the small point here. This point significated the stars to make the reparation to find the way in the desert. In the desert, it's very hard to walk by the daytime. Almost you find the way by the night. You don't have light there, then you use the stars to make a reparation to find the way.
wow, that's a
Yeah,
beautiful
yeah,
story.
yeah.
You make masks, and your mask tells a story as well. Can you tell the audience your culture
No,
and
I
go ahead.
don't make a mask.
Okay.
I sell a mask. I bring the mask and I bring the mask from each different culture
Okay.
because Africa is a big. Africa is a different tribe. Every tribe have something to put on the table. Like a you tribe will have some you do this one, his tribe you do this one, and we trade together. So all this is trade item, and I collected those and then say Uti, my brother and sister here, and you can tell the history about all of us.
And your tribe is
My tribe is Soninke.
Sanike.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the meaning? You don't mind me asking?
The Soninke, The name of Soninke is Aswan. Do you hear about Aswan?
Yes.
Aswan is in Egypt. And we emigrate from Egypt and gone to the West Africa. But even when we go to West Africa, we still keep it the regional name. That regional name is Soninke, the people from Sony. Like you said, somebody from Chicago. That is how our name come from. They say Soninke people. The people come from Aswan and Egypt.
So the mask that you get from each and every culture,
Mhm.
it has a unique story. Do they tell you the story before they give it to you, or?
Yes, I get a story from each group of people, my art, and before I get an art, I learn an art first. And because of the Dogon, that's a Mali, and the Senegal, and the Bobo. And Nigeria, they have Yoruba, they have Benin, they have different culture like um, um, uh, Zaire. They have more than 200 or 300 different tribes. So when you have their art can display and then tell you who this group is. And it's about to learn about each different group. That's what I'm beginning to do. And collective thing from even the America here, I do the same thing. I go different area in the south and then collect the thing for different group of people because when they say African people come from here, it's a lot of different group of people come here and each one they bring it and they knowledge and some can farm this, some can do this, and that knowledge is still working in even the United States. And the same thing in the Africa too. And that's if you want to learn about us, you're gonna go into our art. The art will teach you for a lot of things about the Africa, different group for Africa.
So Deborah, they mention about the barter. And I'm sorry, Devora. They mention about the um barter system,
Yes,
and that's a kind of like a similar thing that's going to happen at the African festival.
it can happen. And so you might, and it happens all the time. People will come on, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Jabi, okay, and Mohammed. People will come on Friday and Saturday and scope out what they want because they know that these vendors do not want to have to take all of this stuff back home. They would rather you purchase it so they don't have to pay the tariffs for taking it back to Africa.
So,
So
and I'm
that's when you're
sorry,
able
you
to,
guys paid turfs on
you have to
that?
pay taxes and stuff
Yeah,
on it. Yeah.
taxes to
Yeah,
bring.
you have to pay everything to bring it here, and it's too expensive. And when you come here, and you don't want to take it back home, and then and pay it again, and the same thing you pay to bring it here, and that's why when the people come to the festival, people come from all over the places because we all believe it before we come here, before we come to this festival, we come and everybody have to give it the best price you can, and you art, you jewelry, you textile, you clothing, and whatever you selling in the that days, you be in the best price for the people they can buy, and otherwise some item you'll find in the festival, even when you go to Africa, you're not gonna find those item.
So go ahead.
But I wanted to add this because this festival closes the summer vendor market season. So that's another thing to keep in mind. This is usually the last stop before all the vendors will go back home. And so they've been all around the country all summer long, going to all the different festivals and carnivals and outdoor events. And this is the last one and the largest one. So this is why you can cut your best deal
Hmm.
at the African Festival of the Arts Labor Day weekend in Washington Park.
So you guys are open for negotiations on prices and stuff. That's what you're saying in essence.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So you brought some jewelry. Can you I know you described the first one. Can you go down the list because each one is handmade by metal, correct?
Yeah, each one is handmade, is silver. We will make different mix with some stones, semi-precious stone, like onyx stone, like agate, like jade. Working also with wood, the black wood, and silver also.
Okay, so
And
go ahead.
I was just going to suggest we can describe for them
Mhm.
the artisans that actually work on this. It's a community of artists.
Yes, it's a
And
community
so
of
explain so the audience understands what happens in that environment. The silversmiths.
yeah. Then I will show you something.
Hmm.
Example here, because if you are working, like I say, it's in association, men and women who making together to make all this. Here I represent that association.
And how long have they been working at the craft? Is this a craft that's been passed on from generation to generation?
Yeah, it's
You don't
from
mind holding
generation
that
to
up.
generation.
Sure.
Hmm.
Even my old grandparents do that. Then here, it's like our
You see?
passport. You don't have to lose it.
You see, this
Uh-huh.
is
Yeah.
how they make it.
So Roman, so that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about
Then here you can see you have
tradition.
different person who work there.
Mhm.
The man here, the leather things is women made them different. You can change the page also to see here. You can change to see. This is like our catalog.
Yeah.
But we most certainly will have all these images on display for you at the African Festival of the Arts. So I think that what's important here is that when you purchase these items at the festival, you are supporting economies back in Africa as well. These are individuals. This is their life ambition. This is what they do to generate income for their families in much the same way as we have artists and practitioners here that's what they do. Their art is their livelihood, and so that's what you are supporting when you come to the African Festival of the Arts. It's not commercial stuff. It's not stuff done in a factory. These are artisans in their villages and their communities that has been passed down from one generation to the next. And as you can see in his headdress, if you could probably point to all the different styles and stuff, and these are probably family stamps or the styles that they will generate in their specific communities that are unique to them. And you'll have an opportunity to buy those things that carry his family stamp, and he has other families represented in his collection as well.
You got some rings right there. If you don't mind telling us about the rings a little bit right there
Yeah.
and hold it up
Mhm.
for us.
Okay, this I will show you. And to talk about this, this is like this history is like pyramid. This design is almost came from Egypt also. This
Pyramid.
shape, yeah, pyramid. Yeah. Then all this design we're talking about that here. This design is a different campment between four campments around that pyramid. Then this street has a signification, the passage of caravan, the caravan who go to find water in other side of the desert.
So if let's say a regular average Joe
Yeah.
wants to purchase that ring,
Yeah.
what would you tell them? What meaning will it bring them? Luck? Will it bring them, peace or
Yes, you have because of that the rings with the stone. You have different stone. Who is very important to wearing them to many bad things because in Africa you use them for that experience. By example, you have some rings with the stone. That stone has a signification about different bad things.
No, but, uh, Nyumade, what the-
Why Numa?
No, that's not bad. That is a
No,
good thing.
good things. Yeah.
okay, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm glad
It's
you
not
cleared
clear,
that up.
yeah.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
it's my first time even.
No. Um, And you have bracelets as well that has unique designs. Can you tell us a little bit with the bracelet you have?
Okay, this bracelet I have. This okay, you can see
Yeah.
Hold it up.
Yeah.
Right here.
this bracelet is wood, ebony and wood and silver.
Wood and silver.
Yeah, wood and silver. The black with
Wow.
yeah. Then
So, what can you tell us just a little bit? Each and every design has so much uniqueness to it. What makes you come up with it?
okay, because there's design made it by different artisan,
Mhm.
different handcrafted. Anyone make the design about different part. You know, you don't do all this design just to make it now. You look about the weather in the desert, but that time who you make this product, you can see the time of the change of the desert. You can use that design to make it for your art.
Okay, so quick question.
Mhm.
How can people, if you know
Mhm.
what vendor booth that
Mhm.
you guys will be at, and how can people get in contact with you guys? Starting with you. So,
How the people get in touch with us in the festival?
yes.
Yeah, when they come to soon they walk in Timbuktu and they be in the line for the Timbuktu. And the first booth, we will be in the first booth and the Timbuktu.
So can let me
Go ahead.
explain that too,
Yeah.
okay?
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Because he says Timbuktu.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So within when we talk about creating an African village, each pathway going through Washington Park is a designated village within a village.
Mhm.
So they are in Timbuktu. We have Nubia. We have Songhai. We have different little villages that represent different things. The fine arts versus the craft arts, the fabric arts, the textile arts, wearable art versus the fine art. We have quilt arts as well. So each one of those has a different area. So you might want to look for those big signs, and they will be hanging prominently.
Mhm.
And we will have a festival magazine, which can also be accessed online. We'll probably set up an app where you can just pull it up on your phone this year. Everything has gone digital, right?
Right.
And so you can just find your way, navigate your way around through the village. So it makes it fun and interesting, and it only enriches the experience and heightens your understanding and appreciation and learning of African culture.
All right. And don't forget, Intellectual Radio will broadcast live Saturday, September 3rd, all day.
That's
Earl
my
is happy about
birthday.
that.
That's my birthday.
So thank you. Thank you. So that's going to do it for the Drive at 5 on the intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station. Thanks to Earl Winfrey, our executive producer. Wanda, who's behind the scenes. You guys have a wonderful week.
Thank you.